This is the Baltimore Underground Radio Podcast, showcasing local musicians, playing songs, and getting the interview. We'll also bend your ear about gear. Baltimore, we are sick with talent. Put your ears on. It's time to listen. This is Nan Ray and Pete Strobel bringing you our first episode, featuring host Bronson Hoover interviewing Mary Prankster. But first, we're going to tell you the story about what made us leave L.A. Rated RRR for language. Raucous, raunchy, and real. All right, so we've been in Baltimore a few years now. We're still newbies, but we love it here. One of the questions we get asked most often is, what made you leave L.A.? I mean, isn't it some kind of Shangri-La?
Actually, I did spend quite a bit of time at the original Shangri-La recording studio out in Malibu.
That's where we first met.
Yes, it is.
I got the gig of doing this crazy collage animation for the website, and you shook my hand like we had met in a previous life. I thought, wow, this guy's friendly. I had no idea.
Little did you know.
And that was the quintessential old Malibu pad, right?
Yeah, it was.
A sprawling ranch house, nice open lawn looking over the ocean. And then inside there was a studio built by you and Jim Kniper that could handle the needs of the most professional of professionals.
It was a great hang. It was kind of like a hole-in-the-wall gang kind of vibe. You know, we were really under the radar. Anybody in town was always wondering, hey, how's that studio up there? And we, you know, if we were around town, we'd go, what studio? We don't know anything about it because we were trying to keep people from knocking on the windows trying to see famous people.
But it did attract the famous people, and I think around that time, Kebmo was doing his Suitcase album there.
Yep.
And then Mark Knopfler came knocking and named his album after the place.
Yeah, he did. It was a great album.
Yeah, it was a fun place, and kind of jumped off from there and ended up kind of going to Europe a little bit with that crazy thing. What was that, Celiband?
It's Celiband, the original crowdfunding thing. Yeah, it was a great idea. And like all great ideas, when people get a hold of something like that and money's involved, you know, the last couple of people that were involved in that crowdfunding thing collected a bunch of money, and the people that ran the thing ran off with it, so it kind of went under. But it was a great idea.
But you had fun. You went to Austria.
Gave me a chance to meet some great musicians and
your
have
old
a good
stomping
time.
grounds.
Yep.
And then you got to do a class at the Mozarteum.
Yeah, I did. I did a 3-day workshop there.
Yeah, always kind of a place you wanted to go study when you were thinking about being an opera singer.
It was a dream.
Yeah.
That never came true.
And then came back, and you ended up at 5150.
Yeah, Matty Brook, who's Ed's manager, called me one day and said, hey, man, Ed's looking for a voice teacher for Wolfie because they're going to put the band together and do this tour. Do you know anybody? I went, Matt, the fuck, man? Of course I know somebody. That's what I do. And he said, oh, I could hear him smacking his forehead on the phone. He goes, can you be here tomorrow? And I said, yeah. And I was there for, 5 days a week, a couple hours a day for months on end until they split for their tour.
Yeah.
2007.
Yeah. And then the Smiths called.
The Smiths.
Not the LA Smiths, the Baltimore Smiths.
Our favorite Smiths.
Yes.
Scott and Jen. Yeah, Scott had read this article that Allison Richter had done in Guitar World magazine. And he said, hey, man, maybe this guy can help Jen with her voice. And one thing led to another, and they started bringing me out to Baltimore to do workshops, introducing me to all these fabulous working musicians in town here. It was just a real eye-opener.
And there was something real particular about that because people here in Baltimore could actually make a living as a musician, and back in LA, those days are gone.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, back in the 80s, we were working 5 nights a week and making our rent and then some. Those days are over. Unless you're, if you're in the industry.
Unless you're at the
making,
top of the heap.
Yeah, if you're making tons of money, then it's different. But it's a real difficult thing to make day in, day out kind of cash out there.
And we really like the people that we met here. And so when the fires start burning down the hill, and I could see it from the front door of the house, I just thought, how much longer am I going to be staying here waiting for this thing to come inch closer and closer? And getting frantic calls from friends that are stranded on the freeway between two walls of fire. And, I just thought, I want to live somewhere green. And
Can't get much greener than this.
Something beckoned about this place. I'm not sure how else to say this, but I'm just going to say people here are the real deal. There's a sincerity that comes across, which is so key when you're making music, to get through to somebody on the other side, your listener. And we just felt that so strongly here. We wanted to figure out a way, how can we break through this stricture that we're all in with this virus? We have this city filled with talented musicians, all working out of their basements, all ready to perform, all ready to talk. So we thought, well, let's talk to them. So here we are. We're going to be expanding our reach and wanting to get to know new musicians, new music. We want you to get to know them, and we're going to have a good time doing it. And there's a lot of people out there that are suffering with this coronavirus, and we are going to be donation-based on Patreon. We're also going to be looking for organizations that can give back to some of these musicians that are in need.
Sounds like a great idea. I'm in.
Let's do it. Moving on to today's show, I think it's time for an introduction. Our first co-host is Bronson Hoover, a talented multi-instrumentalist and award-winning video producer. Rolling back the tape to the 90s, he played keyboards with Baltimore's funkiest group, JJ. He's since been a mainstay with Baltimore's top soul revue, the Belvederes. And last year, he toured the U.S. with Costa Rican blues phenomenon Jose Ramirez. His side hustle is as a motion graphics artist and video producer, leading his production company, DNB Studios. He's worked with the likes of Michelle Obama and Tim Russert, and has produced animations that have been seen around the world. You can find out more about him at bronsonhoover.com. Take it away, Bronson.
My guest today in this inaugural edition of the Baltimore Underground Radio Podcast is the undisputed queen of Baltimore's underground, Mary Prankster. Mary blasted onto the Baltimore music scene in 1998 with her debut album, Blue Skies Over Dundalk. The title of her first single on that album gave many grown men legal permission to scream out "tits and whiskey" in public venues.
Fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, fuck me. I am Ernie's Robert Ducky. Kiss me, kiss me, kiss me, kiss me. Let's break out the tits and whiskey.
The album was a love letter to Baltimore. It spoke to a city that's raw and raunchy, artistic, funky, a little punk, a little blue collar, and clever.
Fuck the rhythm, and let's break out the tits and whiskey, cause that shows we're anarchists.
Mary is a wordsmith after all.
Searching for my pleasure in some...
Her lyrics feel personal. They feel private, like we're sneaking a peek in her diary.
I'm gonna make it back to college. I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna buy the store that I've been planning just to rob. I'm gonna teach this old dog new tricks, drinking from the brimming cup as soon as I wake up. Good morning.
After taking a decade off from public sharing to make mac and cheese, pay off her student loans, and learn a few new tricks, Mary released a stellar new album in 2019 entitled Thickly Settled.
Tell me what it's you. Let's make it right. Tell me what keeps you awake in the night. You a believer. Did you want something more? You got the fever. I got the cure.
Thickly Settled is like running the dial down the car radio on a cross-country road trip. She bends genres to her will. She hops all over the map. You don't know where you're going to end up next. Rock, country, swing, funk, and punk. She sings a little ditty from a saloon piano in the Wild West. Then she drops you off in Harlem on her way home. It's a wild ride, and you're going to want to get another ticket. In 2019, Mary performed 2 sold-out shows with a full band on Pranksgiving weekend. She's since been named WTMD's 2020 Artist of the Year, and she's released the video, Mary Prankster, Live at the Auto Bar, presented by Comedy Dynamics. It's great to hear Mary's voice again on the scene, and even better to hear her voice here today. Welcome, Mary Prankster.
I'm so very happy to be here, Bronson Hoover.
Oh, lovely. It's so nice to see you. We were just talking before we started the show here about how it's nice to actually see you face to face, because usually when we talk, it's over the phone. And
Yeah.
And it's just weird to not see people.
It's nice to see a human face. It's very nice that it's yours. It's just nice to see a different one, because I haven't seen that many human faces recently.
Human faces are a rare breed these days.
They are. And if you see them out in the wild, it's like half of them.
Right, right, exactly. I want to start by asking you about the beginning. So we're going to have to get you on a couch with some chamomile tea, get you all comfy. Because I want to go back to the beginning. Not the beginning like your birth. That's too far back. But what I'm curious about is the beginning of you on the scene. And I'm curious because I read or I've heard little snippets here and there about HFS and how you started, how your relationship with them began. And then there was some story about a highway concert or a road concert or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Can you tell our lovely audience about how did that all transpire?
Okay. In the beginning.
Back in the old times.
Yes, back in the way olden, like pre-internet days, I would play like open mic nights and stuff, basically any place that would have me. And I was a solo acoustic act. And the first thing that I did, sort of like release-wise, was a hot pink cassette that I had made. I recorded it at the Social Service Studios in Baltimore that was named for the social services office that was across the street. And it was just me and an acoustic guitar. And it was hot pink because that was the color that nobody wanted at the manufacturing plants. They would give me the biggest discount on it. Nice. And I used to go, I had a friend like help me with the graphic design for the J cards. And so I'd go to Kinko's and print off a bunch of cardstock. And then my friends and I would sit around folding J cards and have like a J card folding party. So I did that for a while. And like I would sell them at shows and sell them out of my trunk. And then eventually sort of graduated to making a CD with guys from a band called the Martians. That was this really awesome sort of pop punk band from Baltimore from back in the day. And we did that with Steve. At LSP Studios, which is in... Steve
Wright, for those of you who aren't hip to just the name Steve.
Steve Wright.
Steve Wright, now the owner of Rightway Studios in Baltimore.
Yes. So we did that with him, and when I made that CD, just sort of as a, what the hell, why not? I sent a copy to all of the radio stations in the area. And, this was... The CD started with a song called Tits and Whiskey, so that was like the kickoff track, and then it went to like Piss Off and all of these other songs, and I think and Mercy Fuck was on there as well. So it was this like very it made a statement, in other words. So I sent it out to all of these different radio stations, not knowing anything about like how things got played on the air or like the probability of that. I was just like, well, I've made it, so I might as well send it off. And Sharon Bagora there at WHFS, which is at the time like the biggest alternative radio station, like one of the biggest ones in the country, and it was in the Mid-Atlantic. They had just gotten a new DJ, a gentleman named Lou Brutus, and he was from, I think, Chicago. So he was new to the station, and this thing just happened to arrive like during his first couple weeks there, and they gave it to him they thought it was like a good piece of local color.
Cause the pain you give me, babe, would make Cal Ripken call in sick. There'll be ravens blocking tackles in the sky. There'll be cans of Natty Boh for you and I. There'll be blue skies over Dundalk when I break your heart.
He had his producer do a radio edit of Tits and Whiskey, where they bleeped out like fully 2/3 of the song. So when you heard it on the air, it was like bleep me, bleep me, bleep me, bleep me. Like you could barely hear any of the song, but he thought that was really funny. And he had kind of like a skewed sense of humor, which was perfect. So he starts playing this on the air. And the really, really funny thing about that was when I made this record, I did not anticipate ever making another one. Like I thought, this is going to be it. So if it's going to be the only thing that I ever make, like I want to go out my way, and I'm just going to put like the most extreme songs that I had that tickled my ribs, and I was just going to make this record. And the feedback that I got most frequently was, it's good. It'll never get played on the air, but it's good. So the station got in touch with my manager and booking agent at the time, Chris Keith. And they said, we want to bring her in for an interview. So I go in for this interview, and sure enough, there is Lou Brutus, and he's in a Hawaiian shirt, and he's reading Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, because he would always read like snippets of that when he started his morning show. And I sit down, and Lou Brutus was just like, we heard that you have been banned in Annapolis, and we just think that's a shame. So we have created, and they did this entirely on their own, the Mary Prankster Rest Stop Tour. And they said, so we're going to be sending you to a different location, like every day for, it was like a week or 2 weeks. And we'll have the HFS van there, and people can show up and win like prizes and concert tickets, and we'll broadcast your location. Right?
Yeah, and that's brilliant too.
Right? It was so creative and so funny. So the first place we went was a pull-off on 295, the Baltimore-Washington Parkway. And so we were on this pull-off area. The HFS van was there. They had me set up on top of it. So I'm playing on top of the van with like a little amp, little speaker, my acoustic guitar, and it caused a 12-mile backup from people like either slowing down to gawk or like trying to pull off to the side. And of course they were announcing like Mary Prankster is at this pull off on the BW Parkway. So traffic was snarled, and it's never good at the BW Parkway.
Never good.
And this particular day it was absolutely hellish. And so a Maryland state trooper showed up and very politely and emphatically told us all that if we ever did anything like that again, they would arrest all of us. And we were like, oh no. So then they got more creative with where they sent me. So I went to DuPont Circle and the Essex wastewater treatment plant that has the two like golden orbs. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I feel like since we're really here on the radio, I have to sort of help visualize what you just did there with the golden orbs.
Orbs and whiskey. That was an earlier draft.
So you didn't get arrested?
No. Hopefully the statute of limitations has run out, so I'm safe.
So are we planning a new one of these? With golden orbs? That would be fun. You and I did a show together at the Auto Bar in the mid-90s. Were you doing mostly solo stuff then? Or like what was the sort of the progression of you with and without bands back in those days?
So I had like bands all through high school and like been in different bands. And I went solo acoustic because bands were so complicated. There's a lot of phone calls, there's a lot of logistics, there's a lot of coordination. And I remember
and a lot of hand holding. Sorry to interrupt, but a lot of it'll be okay.
That really depends. And if I can jump ahead in time just a little bit, like last November, there wasn't any hand holding.
Well,
and because you were there, like that was an all-star.
We're all a little older
lineup.
now, and a little more settled, thickly settled, I may add. Right?
That was great. That was like the platonic ideal of a band situation.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about for the listeners is, and in full disclosure, Bronson was in my band last November.
I haven't told anybody
December.
That was the big secret.
Oh, shoot. Did I just... Okay. Didn't mean to mess up the big reveal. So, yes, we know each other prior to this interview. And it was this incredible lineup with Jason Butcher on drums and Walker Terrett on bass and Dan Ryan on guitar and Bronson Hoover on like other instrument, and a brass section with Rose Hammerbert and Tiffany Defoe and Jimmy Baseman, and Amy Shook even sat in on a couple of gigs on violin and was amazing. But getting to play with that group I was thinking about it the other day. It was like when you see those martial arts training videos where you have all of the like, super high level black belts and they're all in a room together and they're all just sort of like, throwing each other across the room and rolling. And it was like that. It was like watching a dojo full of masters just flipping each other across the room.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
I have the black and blue marks to prove it. So I play with the Belvederes, and it's a rock and soul review band that's been around Baltimore for, I don't know how long, 15 years. But you wanted that kind of rock and soul review kind of band to be one of your songs. So we all get in the studio, and we do the song once or twice without any guidance from you, except for hearing the demos. And it was okay. But then you walk in the studio, and we do like a band huddle. And it was a band huddle experience that I've never experienced before in my life and all the bands I've been in. We're all surrounding you, and you begin to tell us sort of the backstory of the song without telling us the backstory of the song. I don't know how you do that. That's something else I want to talk to you about later, is your ability to let us in and not let us in at the exact same time, which is a skill that most people don't have. But you spoke for like 10 minutes, and you told us all, why this song meant so much to you and how it was really personal. And then we all sat there quietly. I don't think anyone said a word for like 4 or 5 minutes. We just sat there and stared at the floor and at each other and at our instruments. And then I think I was the first one who spoke. I think I said something like, "So we have to do that again then, don't we?" Or something like that. Because
just getting right down to brass tacks.
Because now that I've heard what was behind the whole thing, I was like, oh my God, I played the song totally wrong. I didn't get it. Didn't get it at all. And then we did a couple more takes, and it felt great.
Well, that was the reason that, like, for that song, I wanted to bring in a band. Mm-hmm. I wanted to bring in people who already had that sort of, working relationship and who could be comfortable being that naked with each other. Because it's a very intense tune. And to get everybody to where they needed to be to put out the kind of energy. And oh my gosh, I'm hearing myself say this now, and it just sounds incredibly woo, but it's all totally sincere. Like, in order to be able to put that on a recording, like, everyone had to make it applicable to their own lives. It was phenomenal. It wasn't like a session. It was really magical.
It was really fun.
And when I hear it now on the album, and this is a song for the listening audience, it's called Any Day Now. It's the last song in the album. Like, when it kicks into that, like, middle late part, I still get goosebumps.
To permit you when you're down and out and all hope is gone and you're fighting your way out of hell, and I'm failing you like the way I do, like I know so much better myself. And encouragement would be heaven sent from the one in your corner. Well then I will lay and accept you from here to your death, 'cause I love you forever and ever and ever, amen.
How do you write a song? What's your process? Does the song does it rain down on you all at once, or do you like find a little nugget of a line that you build off of, or is it different every time? How do you do that?
It depends on the song. They come in different ways. So sometimes it's words. Sometimes, like, a rhyming couplet will just sort of get lodged in my head, and then there's always like a cyclone in my head, like going around and around and around, of like snippets of melodies or couplets or something, and it like whirs around and around and around until things start slamming into each other, and then they kind of like, stick, almost like planetary formations. It's a whole bunch of
Yeah.
dust and rocks and stuff, and the gravity kind of brings it together, and then after a while it's a planet. So sometimes it's a melody, like a melody line that really just gets like lodged like a fish hook in my brain, and it's like the only thing that I hear. Sometimes it's a combination of those things. Every once in a great while, and it's awesome when it happens, like the whole thing comes at once, fully formed, like Athena just springing out of my forehead. And that's awesome. That does not happen often at all. I think it's happened like maybe 2 or 3 times in my life. But that's super, because then it's done. But
Right.
other than that, there are these things that like constantly kind of agitate to be heard. And then after a while, they sort of take more shape. Like I don't sit down to write something. It's something that's going on. And like with this most recent record, it had been like a decade and a half since I'd recorded anything. And then after a while, like they just kind of build up and the volume increases and it becomes really, really distracting and constant. So like I'm driving and it's playing in my head. I'm having a conversation with somebody and it's playing in my head. And it's like it's sort of like making a record is like a jolly exorcism. So it's a lot of fun, but you're getting something out that really needs to come out, because otherwise it's just kind of like going to continue to preoccupy you.
Are you the perfectionist type that years later you go back in and you tweak like one word here and there? You find one line that you just don't quite love? Or do you write it and leave it alone?
That's a really good question. I think I've been really fortunate with the recordings that I've been able to make, because each one for that time in my life, for what I had with, songwriting ability or access to musicians or like access to resources or whatever, every recording I've ever done for right then was the absolute best I could do at the time. So I'm okay with it. Like I'm at peace with it.
You're like a Zen master. You have to know that.
But like when I listen back to it now, I'm just like, yeah, you go, kid. Just with your out of control vibrato and your like, double tracked vocals. And I'm just, I'm happy with it. I'm okay with it.
But you have to understand that is a rare quality to be able to think that way. I'm currently reading a book called Effortless Mastery, and it's a book for jazz pianists specifically, but musicians in general, about how to not be so hard on ourselves and just be in the moment. It sounds like you were just naturally born with that gift. And can I have those pills?
Okay, well, here's the cheat code. I made 3 of my records with Steve Wright.
Oh, that helps, because he is a genius. But your excitability here, your passion that you obviously have, and your Zen Buddha qualities that all combine together, it comes out in the song. I think the reason that your songs resonate so well with your audience is because they feel autobiographical. They feel so personal. And when songs are personal, when the lyrics are so personal, it's really easy to put yourself in the place of the singer. You can find a little line here. You're a song about paying off your college loans. I mean, it's so easy for someone to be like, yeah, I'm trying to pay off my college loans. Like, you really feel personal, right? So the autobiographical nature of your songs, I think, is what really helps connect people with the music. But here's the getting deep part. Mm-hmm. Mary Prankster, using air quotes around Mary Prankster, is an alter ego, right? So, for example, in Blue Skies Over Dundalk, you even say, I've built up so much character, I have an alter ego. Like, it's in one of your lines of your songs. But on the other side, you have a full, normal, private life. You have a name that your mom gave you, all that stuff that's separate. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, how do you compartmentalize those two sort of worlds in your mind? And even more specifically, when you're writing a song, where are you coming from? Are you coming from the alter ego writing some of the lyrics? Or are you coming from a more personal place? You see what I'm saying?
Ooh, yeah. That's a very spicy question.
Spicy.
Okay, so there is a quote, and I've read it attributed to a number of different people, so I don't know who said it. But it's art is the lie that tells the truth. Have you ever heard that one?
No, but I love it.
Yeah. So I think that having the distance of like a persona, at least the persona, as I see it, is more of a delivery mechanism than anything else. Like, similar to how a cigarette is the delivery mechanism for nicotine. It's not the cigarette that you're into, it's the nicotine. So having this set of songs or having songs that are so intensely personal, like having a delivery mechanism that's like an attractive package to sort of present them, that's like the role of the alter ego.
Right.
So, on stage, I'm much more like sharp-witted and glib and like in control and all of that than I would be in normal life. Even like the Zen master stuff that you just brought up, like there's for all of that kind of appears, it's the classic metaphor of the duck that's paddling furiously underwater, but like just looks like they're gliding across the water.
Yeah.
So, before all of those amazing Zen-like sessions, there'd be me on the phone with Steve, just like, do you think they'll be nice? Do you think they'll be nice? Do you think they'll like me?
Yes, they will.
And he's just like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because I don't know. So, I mean, there's all that exists. But like having, the songs are intensely personal. It's not always me. Like sometimes it's writing from like the point of view of a different person, but they're like being able to get to that kind of deep, again, vulnerability and nakedness and emotion, and being comfortable to express that to not just people in the studio, but like at a room full of strangers. It helps to have a little bit of distance to be able to like have a character delivering them. But the songs themselves, they're very, very real. And I think the other part of it is just like keeping myself out of it means that I'm not getting in the way of any songs. Like they're just sort of like launched into the world. And really that's the most interesting part. Like it's the songs that people are into. It's the songs that people are attached to that resonate with something in their own lives. So I can I'll stay out of the way. And then to the extent that I'm involved, I will be the most attractive, entertaining package for those songs for them. And then they can relate to them however works best for them in their own lives.
And they do. Your fans are hardcore.
Lovely people.
Have you had a good time? Well, I think that's all of us.
They're intense and they're passionate, but like so am I. You know that?
No,
that
because
whole-
they feed off of you. They feed off of the passion that you have.
Here we go, brothers and sisters, testify. 2, 3, 4. I've seen the future and it looks like lemonade. What do you see? How does it look? I've seen the future and it looks like lemonade. Mix an ocean of a potion, baby, wish you never stayed. Mix an ocean of a potion, make you wish you never stayed. Thank you.
So the two shows we did last Thanksgiving, the weekend, the first one was the Auto Bar. And at the end of that night, I'm packing up, my 4,000 pieces of equipment that I have for that show.
It was amazing. You were like a one-man band in the middle of a 10-piece band.
But as I'm walking past you like multiple times, loading my car, and you were talking to this woman, and she was crying, and you guys were hugging, and I overheard little snippets here and there, and I realized that she was, you don't know her, like you know her as Mary Prankster, she's a fan, but the connection that she had with you was intense, like you've known each other forever. It was incredible. But then you feed it back, because then the next night at the Birchmere, how long did you sign autographs and talk to people? Was it an hour and a half after the show? I mean,
It was 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yes. But I mean, those folks stuck around.
But all of them, it was a sold out show, and I swear to God, the entire audience went out into the other room to wait in line for you.
It was the least I could do. Like
It was beautiful.
I was fortunate that I had a really good role model for that. Jimmy Haha from Jimmy's Chicken Shack. So when I was coming up, like in the Annapolis scene. Like his band was the hottest thing going. And he was also, like, we were friends. So when we would go out, and I remember being kind of annoyed, like, we would just like go out to dinner or, be catching a show or something. And I'd be wanting to spend time with my buddy and he would be thronged with people. But he always had a really great sense of like, this is that person's, he was making a memory for somebody. And they were kind enough to come up and say something like positive. And it was important for them to, he knew how to comport himself. He was an excellent rock star. And so I watched that, and every person who talked to him, he made them feel special and valued, and he gave them his time. And I was just like, okay, yes, that is the proper and appropriate way to interact with folks who are kind enough to tell you something nice about something that you've done that you really care about. And that always stuck with me.
So I have like 4,000 other questions, but I'm realizing that we could go on literally all day.
Yeah.
I am curious, A, how are you coping with our current pandemic? And then I want to know if what's kicking around in your head, because I know there's something kicking around in your head for what's next. Are you even willing to share what's coming up next from Mary Prankster?
There's always something cooking.
I know.
I'm terrible with downtime. Terrible. So
how are you handling the pandemic if you're terrible with downtime? What are you doing?
I'm assigning projects to myself.
Okay, good plan.
Yeah, so like...
I'm doing a podcast.
Yeah, it's something to give me something to think about that is not the current global catastrophe. Like anything to think about, anything to occupy my time, anything that's like... that requires a great deal of concentration, like a podcast series, or deadlines, so that makes you feel like there's a passage of time. So today I had this interview on my calendar, and that's how I knew it was Monday. So things that make me feel temporally connected, projects at the beginning and middle and an end, and also trying to figure out right before this started, I played a gig in Indianapolis, and it was for Leap Day, and it was at this venue called the Melody Inn, which is this sort of storied punk venue, and it was the 20th anniversary of their punk rock night weekly show, and it was fantastic. It was a really, really great show, and the plan was that I would come back, I'd come home from that, and then my booking agent Alex and I would sit down and look at the calendar for the rest of the year and start planning like summer festivals and then, fall gigs, because I just had this record come out in November. That was when Thickly Settled came out. So it's not super old, and I haven't really toured behind it. And then there was the Mary Prankster Live at the Auto Bar album and movie came out. So that was another reason to go out and kind of hit the road. And all of that sort of got shuffled. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that's not such a tragedy, considering everything else that's been going on. So I'm not able to play these show dates. That is a bummer for me. That is not life or death. But so trying to figure out, okay, I'm not going to do that. So what do I do now?
Right.
I've been working with an animator on a video for Sweet Beat.
Nice.
Yeah. Really talented guy. He's a animation student in California. And so we've been working on that since, maybe December. And hoping to get it out around June-ish. But again, what is time? Time means nothing now. Just trying to make content. If it's a 2-minute song, then somebody gets to look at something for 2 minutes and think about that thing. And they get 2 minutes of respite from everything else. And if that is what I can do, and that's the best I can do right now, then I want to be able to create that content.
Your fans would appreciate that.
We really are all in it together. It's amazing to think about going through a global catastrophe. Everybody in the whole world is having nightmares right now.
Yeah.
And everybody in the whole world is scared and not knowing what comes next. And I don't know about you, but I, for one, have never wanted to live through history, because history, by and large, has totally sucked. Anytime I've ever gone to one of those historical recreation villages and stuff, like the richest person in town who lived in the nicest house, it's still like cold
Right.
and drafty and the bed's all uncomfortable. I'm like, this is terrible.
They
Like
have,
I've always
they
been
have 4 candles, right? And everyone else has like a half a candle, right?
exactly. Like the 4th grade trip to Colonial Williamsburg,
Right.
and you're just like, this is awful.
Yeah.
So no, I've never wanted to live through anything particularly historic, and here we are.
Well, and you sort of touched on it. This is a shared experience for the entire world that we don't get. I mean, how often are there experiences where everyone is feeling the same thing in the entire world, not just in one nation or one region, you know?
Well, there was that Game of Thrones finale.
Well, yeah.
I think that bonded us all as people.
There was that. I'm not even going to ask you how you felt about that. I was a little
That's
frustrated.
good. That's good because that's
we don't,
it's controversial.
we don't want to go down that road. I don't want the hate mail. All right. Well, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing this. Thank you for
Absolute
thank you for
pleasure.
being my first guest on this new series.
So nice to see you, and congratulations! This is a cool series.
I can't wait till we get to do something again on a stage in front of real people.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
Yeah. So nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you too, Bronson.
You can be a boy, you can be a girl, you can be a kind of person new to the world. Oh, you're my sweet pea, and I love you the way you are. You can be a guy, you can be a gal, baby, I can't lie, you're my favorite pal. Oh, you're my sweet pea, and I love you the way you are. Mr. Mix on misses, new or a different name, still give you hugs and kisses, and I love you just the same. You can be a king, you can be a queen, you can be somebody who's somewhere in between. Oh, you're my sweet pea, and I love you the way you are.
You're listening to Sweet Beat by Mary Prankster on the new album Thickly Settled. For more on Mary, visit her at maryprankster.com. And if you'd like to know a little bit more about me, you can find me at bronsonhoover.com. For extras, join us over at Patreon. It's at patreon.com/burpmedia.
The Baltimore Underground Radio Podcast is brought to you by Burp Media. That was a good one. We invite you to become a supporter at patreon.com/burpmedia. Supporters will have access to our online VIP room, which will include stories, photos, and interview extras, downloadable songs, and bits from the cutting room floor. If you would like to become an official sponsor, contact us via our website at burp.media.